Institute of Geography and Spatial Management of the Jagiellonian University welcomes you and invites you to watch a Transmedia movie which will introduce you to the relationship between the settlement and human management of the environment in the geographical region of Kraków. You will decide which subjects are most interesting for you. You will be able to follow chosen threads as well as add your own content.
Dear colleagues, currently we are standing on the roof of the Institute of Geography and Spatial Management, located at the campus of the 600th anniversary of the Jagiellonian University revival.
Hello everybody, welcome to Kraków. Look at the maps, I'll show you where you are.
Kraków is a city located in Eastern Europe, in the south of Poland. But who are you?
Can't you see? I'm a dragon, a descendant of the dragon from the Wawel Hill cave. My name is Timi.
Really? This sounds like short for Transmedia. Please tell us where your ancestors lived.
The Dragon's Cave is located in the Wawel Hill beneath the royal castle, right in the center of Kraków. It's one of the oldest known caves in Poland due to its location and a well-known legend about the dragon who lived under the Wawel Hill.
But the Wawel Hill is also called the Royal Hill. The city of Kraków grew around the Royal, not the Dragon Hill.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Dragons appeared much earlier, and the people who inhabited those hills hidden between the arms of the Vistula, they got in the way of dragons.
Are you the only living dragon?
Oh no, many dragons have their lairs in the city of Kraków. You just have to look around carefully. We have stone dragons, water and fire-spitting dragons. They say there also is a dragon that pollutes the air in Kraków during wintertime. However, it's quite the opposite. It is the people who pollute the air and destroy the dragons who live here.
Why did the dragons choose to settle in Kraków, especially under the Wawel Hill?
Because the Wawel Hill is composed of Upper Jurassic limestones that form caves very comfortable for dragons to live in.
How did it originate? Did only dragons live there?
The origin of the Dragon's Cave is related to the artesian aquifer of elevated temperatures, unique for Poland. However, it is not only dragons that lived in those caves. In Piekary, a town right outside of Kraków, an archaeological site is located with documented multiple settlements that date back as far as 200,000 years old to settlements as old as 15,000 years old.
Is it true that the Wawel Hill is a tectonic horst surrounded by grabens and tectonic horsts?
Exactly, good point. Moreover, the hills were inhabited by both animals and people. On San Bronisława's hill in Kraków, remains of woolly mammoths were unearthed. They come from around 25,000 years ago. Apart from the remains of nearly 100 adult mammoths, which weighed from 4 to 6 tons when they were alive, bones of other animals were excavated, including the bones of a reindeer, a wolf and a horse. Many flint tools used for hunting or for dressing and skinning of the killed animals were also discovered.
So, you found woolly mammoths just on that hill across from us. You said that the wide and isolated smooth slope hills we were looking at are called tectonic horsts.
Look carefully. Directly in front of you now you can see the Sowiniec host, and on top of it Kamedolis Priory in Bielany and the Kościuszko Mound. Between us and the host lies the Vistula River Valley. The white rock slopes that you can see are the walls of a quarry located within the area of the Krzemionki Dębnickie Horst. When you turn around to northeast, you will see the royal castle on top of the Wawel Hill, which also is a tectonic horst surrounded by grabens. And now, using my special powers, I'll take you to the terrace of the castle. And again, we're looking at San Bronisława's hill, which marks the edge of the Sowiniec host, with 2 historic mounds. Towards the southwest, we can see the Twardowski Rocks and the hill of Kapelanka, and farther, at the southernmost tip, the district of Podgórze. Right in front of it, we can see the Skałka Hill. Actually, all of those hills are horsts, and just like the Wawel Hill, they are formed from Jurassic limestone.
What's the origin of these hills?
Those hills originally formed one solid tectonic plate, which later split into blocks. They shifted vertically along the lines of faults. Northern section of the plate tilts towards northeast, and its southern part lowers, as if in gradual ledges, and sinks under the Carpathian Mountains from the south. Overthrusting Carpathian naps created oncoming northward pressure, which resulted in breaking of the Silesia-Krakow monocline into the system of large and small Holsten grabens.
Can you show us how geology is related to the land relief on the interactive Krakow portals?
As you can see, Kraków is located on the borders of three large geophysical regions. Uplands in the north, basins in the central part, and foothills in the southern part of the city. You see, dragons can choose to live from a variety of caves in this region. Kraków is located at the altitude varying from 187 to 358 meters above the sea level. Flat hilltops, gentle tops, and flat-bedded valleys are the dominant landforms in the area. Dominant rocks within the grounds of the city are limestones of the Upper Jurassic period. However, the oldest rocks in the surroundings of the city are the Devonian black limestones, also called Dębnicki marble, which is used as decorative stone. If you want to explore different types of rocks that form the area of Kraków, it is best to visit the quarry from which the stones to build the city were sourced. Now, compare the rocks from the quarry with the stone blocks that were used to construct buildings in Kraków. If you wish to explore in detail the subject of rocks, I suggest we take a trip to the Kraków Museum of Geology, where you will see examples of limestone, sandstone, clay, loess and fluvio-glacial deposits.
Are you coughing because you're not a fan of geology?
Oh no, I love geology. I actually have problems breathing fire because of this suffocating smog. Kraków is located within the wide valley of the Vistula River and has naturally unfavorable bioclimatological conditions due to repeated inversions of temperatures, poor air circulation and frequent fen winds. The lie of the land, therefore, definitely influences the climate of the city. Moreover, the highlands, whose height reaches 300 meters above sea level, prevent the city from incoming air masses from the north, while from the south the air is blocked by the Carpathian foothills.
What periods are the hardest to breathe in the city?
Both autumn and winter, especially in the center of the city. We monitor levels of air pollution on the Kraków Smog Alarm website during that time. In 2013, we noted that air pollution values exceeded the norm by 500%.
Is Krakow located in some kind of extreme climate? Do you get extremely low or high temperatures?
Mean annual air temperature during the whole 20th century averaged at 8.7 degrees Celsius. The longest season is summer, while winter season tends to vary dramatically, each year arriving later. The city experiences extremely low temperatures and long-lasting periods of heat. Do you know that September has the fewest cloudy days?
Are you seriously talking about cloudy days while drinking sulfur water? Don't you know that the Wawel dragon met his end by the way of the sulfur that came from Sfoszowice?
Are you saying the sulfur so sneakily served to the dragon in the sheepskin bag came from Sfoszowice?
Yes, indeed. Mineral water acquires therapeutic attributes by flowing through a sulfur bed. People availed of the sulfur springs long before the beginning of mining of the sulfur bed. Naturally occurring on the surface, flour of sulfur was collected and used as medicine. First to treat cattle and later people. During the times of the plague, inhabitants of Krakow fled from the Black Death to Sfoszowice. The Sfoszowice mine is the first sulfur mine in Poland. Exploitation of these beds started at the beginning of 15th century and continued until the end of 19th century.
I'm not drinking mineral water from Sfoszowice, but from the Mateczne mineral springs. Do you know that names of certain places in the life of ancient Kraków were water-related and prove how important the role of water was for the city? Street names, Starowiślna, Powiśle, are both derived from the name of the Vistula River and mean Old Vistula and Vistula Embankment respectively.
We heard that there were some floods in Krakow in the last few years.
Yes, it's true. However, it's not only recently that Kraków experienced such floods. Vistula displays variability with respect to water levels and annual flow rate, which for many centuries was a threat for the city. Floods were often catastrophic in consequences.
Tell us, Dragon, did changing hydrographic conditions and development of the city influence the soils of the Krakow area?
Of course, in the city limits of Krakow, the largest areas are taken up by anthropogenic soils. Do you know that underneath the main market square, remains of paved traffic routes were preserved?
Underground? How?
There is an underground museum directly under the market square where you can see untouched ground profiles, archaeological sites, which explain the process of how the ground of the market square raised over the period of several hundred years. You can also learn about the road building technology of the medieval times.
It must be interesting to see those ancient layers. The mutual relationship between the bedrock, soil, and vegetation is well known to geographers.
The elements of the environment you mentioned were significantly transformed by human activity. Not only the river network and soils were transformed, but also natural vegetation and animal habitats. Currently, you can observe vegetation in the form of deciduous forests, natural shrubs, meadows and grasslands.
Do you have any local animals?
Yes, of course. You can meet interesting and rare animal species in the city. Some of them I even have for lunch, like insects, amphibians, frogs. My favorite lunchtime treat. I highly recommend you try it.
Ugh, disgusting.
I would like to taste reptiles like lizards, grass snake, birds, white stork, peregrine falcon, kingfisher and little bittern. Unfortunately, these are mostly protected and unsuitable as food.
We heard the legend about the founder of Krakow.
Oh, it's not a legend. My great-grandmother was the pet dragon of the King Krak's daughter, Princess Wanda. One day, a dragon from a hostile clan raided the city and King Krak had to kill him. My great-grandmother personally participated in the battle and, with her own teeth, bit off the dragon's tail. The city is filled with tributes that celebrate her heroism.
Where can we find the first official records of Krakow?
In the last decades of the 12th century, Wincenty Kadłubek, a bishop of Krakow and author of Chronica Polonorum, was the first to write down the story of King Krak. However, the original accounts that mention the city date back to year 965 and were recorded by a merchant whose name was Abraham ben Jacob of Cordoba, who described the trip from Prague to Krakow as lasting 3 months.
Unbelievable! I had no idea that the city was that old.
Oh yes, already in 11th century on the Wawel Hill a Duke's Gourd existed, and in its neighborhood various settlements of craftsmen and merchants were growing. On the hills surrounding the Vistula Valley, numerous settlements developed, densely populated, also by dragons. At the beginning of 11th century, Kraków became the capital city of Poland under the rule of the Piast dynasty, which reigned until 14th century. Despite being regularly plundered by Tatars, in 1241 the city was completely ransacked. Kraków became a prominent city with booming culture and economy. Parts of many buildings that still stand in the city were constructed in those times. The legacy and legends of the days gone by, especially the legend of Laikonik, are still very much a part of our culture.
This hobby horse looks like he's dressed in a Tatar outfit. Is there any connection?
Yes, it's Kraków heritage. My great-grandma and later on my mother were both fashion designers and they created various outfits for Laikonik, which were worn by musical and theatrical troupes. Kraków was granted city rights in 1257. Introduction of Magdeburg rights-inspired law saw the city rebuilt in an orderly fashion, according to a new spatial arrangement. In 1364, Jagiellonian University was founded, being the second university in Central Europe after Prague. During the reign of the Jagiellonian dynasty, Kraków continued to develop and grew to become one of the largest capital cities in Europe. Many architects, sculptors and literary figures lived and created in the city, marking their presence with marvelous works of art. Kraków boasts both Romanesque and Renaissance structures which continue to inspire awe of their admirers. 17th century marked a period of demise of the city. Never-ending raids by Swedes, followed by invasions of Prussians, Russians and finally Austrians.
How did this happen? That the family of Krakow dragons managed to survive?
During the wars, we all moved to live in the military bastions and forts.
Where did they come from?
In 19th century, Austrians created plans for urban development for Kraków and triggered expansion of the city. They started fortifying the city and began constructing external fortifications, which for a long time defined the direction of growth and the core of the medieval city. Despite Austrian occupation and loss of independence, Kraków remained the spiritual capital of Poland, where many theatre artists, musicians and literary minds lived and created. National Museum was founded and the old theatre began to operate. Upon Poland regaining independence, artistic, cultural and scientific life flourished. Physicists of the Jagiellonian University made groundbreaking discoveries in this period of time. In the period between the wars, the city expanded, networks of trams and railways were completed.
I heard that after the war, the communists built a town just for the benefits of employees of the metallurgical plant in Nowa Huta. Is that true?
Yes, it was second largest playground of communists where they aimed to create the brave new working class world. This is how the current district of Nowa Huta originated.
What was going on then? Did your family run from communists?
After 1949, as the result of the decision of the communist government, a metallurgical plant with a residential complex inhabited by secularized workers was built. My father was one of the employees of the metallurgical plant, where he worked as a fire engineer responsible for furnaces for free. He was never even given the smallest reward for it. The direction of urban development adopted before the war was discontinued, and the concentric grid of the city was substituted by a parallel band pattern. Industry kept growing and the network of roads was constructed.
After the borders opened in Poland in 1989, did you notice a change in anything?
Of course, we have so many tourists now. Kraków is full of cafes and restaurants. Take a look at the main market square now.
Fantastic!
The period of social and economic changes after 1989 resulted in a decline in significance of the industrial function of the city, followed by a quick development of services, a boom in artistic and scientific activities, as well as in tourism. Kraków has made its name as a city of scientists with technological and business parks and museums. Large multinational companies have established their presence in the city, and as the only Eastern European city, Kraków is in the top 10 of the outsourcing cities list. The city has become a center of cultural events, holding theatre, music and film festivals.
What are you doing these days, Timmy?
I am a student of geodragophy at the Jagiellonian University. Anyone can study here. Kraków is a large center of academic life. Currently, over 170,000 students study on 22 higher education schools and universities in Kraków. The city hosts numerous conferences, seminars and symposia, and is home to projects and scientific research.